Good morning. So, once again, we're here representing physicians working together. My name is Eric Funches, or Funches as it will be said in the South all the time, all day long. Good morning. So, once again, we're here, but we're excited today to have with us Mr. Alain L. Sullivan. He is one of the 2024 Medical Student Scholarship winners of PWT for this year, and we are so excited to have you, sir. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, sir. I'm so honored to be here. So excited to talk to you as well.
Great, great, great. Well, we are so happy to have you. So, before we jump into things about you and your life and what you feel about winning this scholarship, each one of the scholarship participants had to submit a talent, something that divides them, makes them unique from the rest. What was your submission all about?
Yes, so I submitted a video of myself performing some jazz on saxophone.
Man, I played sax in high school. That's one of my favorite instruments, dog. I played saxophone and trombone, so I was jumping from brass to woodwind back and forth.
That's cool.
Not many of us could do that. Man, I played sax in high school. That's one of my favorite instruments, dog. I played saxophone and trombone, so I was jumping from brass to wood because we're trying to fill out certain spots. So wonderful. Look, you sounded great. I loved your presence in your video. I loved how the other instrumentation was vibing along with you, and you seemed like you had a really wonderful audience as well. How often do you get the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, so now that I'm in school, it's definitely limited from what I was doing before.
Yeah.
I would say even with med school, I still at least get to play like with
Yeah.
myself and
Yeah.
just in my room play music. I got my keyboard there and my horns are all in the
Nice.
closet. So I
Good
feel
deal, man.
like I'm not deprived of music
There
for
you
sure.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So jazz is your genre?
yes, jazz primarily, as well as R&B, funk, all
Okay.
the
Okay.
everything
And I
within
see you
that.
have some artists there behind you.
Yes, I do. Got my Bird, Coltrane, and MJ.
Oh
My
man, yes. Yes. Who else, right?
a few more on the side, but those are the main. I want to
Yeah.
get a few more out there.
There
Maybe
you go.
like
Give them
nice
the
R&B.
props.
Yeah, like a Boys to Men, SWV, something like that up there too. So
Yeah, and then one day, somebody have yours on the wall. It'd be that
oh
that
no.
that physician who's also the jazz man. But music therapy is one of those things that's important with patients. So I can just imagine how you might be able to, because of your being a creative, how you may be able to implement that into your practice later. So
It's funny you should say that. So I'm at Michigan Med School for people that know. And as part of our curriculum, our first year, we get to shadow different fields outside of physician. So I got matched with a music therapist, and it was really, really awesome to shadow one of those sessions.
yeah.
I think it definitely had an impact on the patients. It was on in this case, it was in the psych ward. And they have it set to kind of different themes. So the one I was in was for mood disorders. People that had either gone through some depressive episodes,
Right.
potential suicidal attempts.
Right.
But the session I did notice a difference for sure. They were very appreciative, the patients, and the psychiatrist I shadowed, or music therapist rather.
Right.
The
That's for
college
sure.
that I shadowed was really great. And I actually did a presentation a couple months. We had to do a presentation on a topic we're passionate about that relates to medicine. So I did mine on what I dubbed culturally conscious music therapy. The whole idea being that a lot of music therapy is sort of based in, classical. There's a lot of study on classical music and kind of that Western European
Right.
modality of music. But there's some developing studies where people who have a music therapy curriculum tailored to what they like result in better outcomes. So that's something that I'm interested in exploring a little bit more, especially as someone who grew up playing jazz. I did play classical throughout high school, but
Right.
funk
That's the
R&B
genre.
is my home base, so to say. And
Which
first,
one?
second, third to be jazz, R&B, funk is sort of my home
Gotcha.
base. And first, second, and third, to be honest. But
There you go. There you go. There you
you
go.
know, that's for me.
Awesome, man. That's tremendous. And I'm so glad that you had that opportunity, because I know it meant a lot more to you being a creative than probably did to some of the others in the same sect who, weren't in music as you are. So to find that niche and to be able to relate to those people and see that, yeah, this is working, this helps. Very interesting, though, that you mentioned the cultural aspect of it, and that now they're starting to see it's not just the European styles that can have effect. There are other things too, because I believe memory has DNA. So to be able to speak to someone basically musically from their cultural background is also going to, I think, as we go on, we're going to see more of that being relevant. So excellent. So what was the trigger for you, Alonso, that at some point you're a musician, because of being in school and that training and having the band directors that you had? What was the trigger that said, no, I'm not going to be a music educator, I'm not going to be just a jazz musician, I want to be a physician?
For sure. So funnily enough, it's actually kind of reversed. Unfortunately, my dad is a neurologist, and his dad was also a physician. He was a physician in a small all-black community in North Carolina called Wilson. And so I was always inspired. And I wasn't pressured either. It was just
Very good.
The thing like, oh, what do you want to be? I couldn't see myself doing anything else than being a doctor, because I thought it was
That's
cool
awesome.
and all that. And as life went on, there were moments in my life that definitely validated that decision. I always describe music as like a very happy accident. Fifth grade, you start band, but you also start sports. And I'm like, oh, I want to play football because everyone wants to play football. I got diagnosed with Osgood-Schlatter's OCD lesion, and the resulting tendonitis from both of those, which ended my football career after a single game. And with that, just kind of turned to learning clarinet, and I found that I had a real knack for it. Eventually moving on to saxophone, and just kept with it. It was, especially without being able to play sports, it was kind of
right.
And I found that I was progressing a lot quicker than I expected, and I just kept going with it. Started joining like youth groups, auditioning for bands, that kind of stuff, doing competitions throughout high school. And by senior year, I started to contemplate, where I'd want to go to school. And it was a pretty quick decision. Just kind of decided I want to do both music and pre-med. So I started exploring. I think I remember I wanted to stay local, just because I didn't necessarily want to be, I'm from Grand Rapids, I didn't want to be in GR, but I wanted to be within a stone's toss. My brother's a graduate of Michigan, so I grew up in Michigan, in a Michigan household. So I ended up only applying to 3 undergrad schools because they offered dual degree in music and whatever else you wanted. In my case, something science related. And went through all my auditions, and when I got into Michigan, that was it. It was kind of one of those things like, oh, there's no way I can't go now. And so it worked out really well at Michigan, especially because it just so happened like a lot of my science courses would fall on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A lot of my music courses fell on Tuesday, Thursdays. So I never really felt too overwhelmed going through I probably had a lot more free time than I deserved. But yeah, it was always, that dual identity was always me, and it was just something that came very natural, pursuing both modalities and fields.
Excellent, excellent. That is something. That is really something. So, were either of your parents, did either of their minds kind of? I'm trying to figure now, where did you get that from? Did either of their minds work that way, or
So my mom played some guitar growing
okay,
up, as well as doing musical theater. And then my dad plays some piano.
okay, there
And
we
then my
go.
brother plays guitar as well. Um,
So you have a musical family as well as
yeah, I would
what
say
that's
so.
bent towards the sciences too. And there's such a
The only one that
correlation.
like really pursued um, beyond sort of a hobby.
Right, right.
But yeah, all huge music appreciators throughout the family.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. And then there is, that link between science and music because of the math that's in music. So excellent. That's wonderful. Now, who were some of your best mentors that you would say as you've gone through your journey to this point? And what point are you in med school right now?
So as of almost 1 week, 6 days ago, we just finished our first year.
Okay, awesome.
So we get 6 weeks off. At Michigan, we're on a 1 year preclinical, and then we'll be in the hospital starting September.
Okay.
I'm hitting the ground running with internal medicine in September. A little
That'll be
nervous,
fun.
very excited. I know it'll be a lot
Yes.
of
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
So yeah, I'm fortunate, especially being in both the music and the science scenes, having mentors in both fields, and a couple that also crossed over. Growing up, of course, all my saxophone teachers. We have a place called Meyer Music, and they used to offer lessons. Like my teachers, Ryan and Bradley, there growing up. And then I studied at CMU, the professor there, Dr. John Nickel. And then here in Michigan, we have Interlochen Center of the Arts, which is in northern Michigan. So I'd drive
Okay.
up lessons from Bill Sears. And then my professor here at Michigan, all the professors, like Andrew Bishop, Benny Green, Ellen Rowe, Bob, got to study with Bob Hurst, who is in Brain, which was so cool. And it was really great to have a diverse group of mentors to sort of get all sides of the music and learn from their experiences. And then in terms of the science side, I did research for a couple years, so Dr. Stockbridge, whose lab I was a part of, was a really great mentor. And then getting into med school, even getting to branch out, especially going into med school, having Black physicians that I can talk to and rely on, like our former dean, Dr. Stephen Gay, or funnily, Dr. Cornelius James, who every year in med school here, we do like a parody musical of the school.
Oh,
So
nice.
play him, which was a lot of fun. And then people like Dr. Jim Sawyer, who was a famed, renowned band director in my area, has been a great support through both the music and just supporting and being a great, I don't even know the word, just a great shoulder to lean on especially throughout the medical process. And he ended up directing a lot of the groups I played in. So yeah, it's been there. Especially playing jazz, you build this network of people to lean on, learn from, and that's been really, really special.
So it sounds like community is very much a part of the fabric of your life.
Absolutely.
Yes, building community, finding your tribe.
Absolutely. Starting with family. My grandfather's favorite quote was "Family first, always," and but define family as broadly as possible.
Yeah. And we do know that family is not always just blood. Doesn't always consist of just bloodline, but those who have a kinship to us. And that's important to Dr. Jackson. She really has exerted herself to be influential within her own community, and that was kind of the basis of her starting Physicians Working Together, was to build that oneness among physicians, so they felt that they had a place to go, so they had each other's backs in a sense. And it started from actually one of her cohorts, which was a close friend, having committed suicide, and bringing awareness to people that your physician, your doctor, is a person. They have their own family issues. They have their own, things that they are dealing with, struggling with. And so helping doctors to know as well, physicians to know as well, hey, we can build our own safe space. We don't have to be on our own island. And from that, of course, she started wanting to reach back because of those who have been a great influence to her and give back. And so the Physicians Working Together medical school, medical student scholarship began. How did you hear about the scholarship program?
I'm trying to think. I think I somehow ended up on the email list.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is, so a few of us went to AMEC this year,
Okay.
and I got the email right around there. So I think I got an email around that time. I must have been put on the email list. But I read the thing. I saw like, oh, do you have a talent? So I clicked on it and learned a little bit about it. I'm like, oh, this sounds like one that I feel like I could submit something really cool, and hope that people would enjoy it. And then just the mission of physicians working together, that's something that's so integral to me. So that's how I think, pretty sure it was in the email.
Okay, great. And what is important when you look at the mission of Physicians Working Together? What do you relate to, or what resonates with you that you could use as a diving board, if you will, for launching something that gives you an opportunity to give back, pay it forward, as it were?
Absolutely. So just talking about community, especially in jazz, it's a music that developed out of community, that has its roots, during the times of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working out all day in 100-degree weather, that you need to find some way to push through. We shall overcome. And
Right.
being able to play music steeped in that tradition and that sort of struggle is very profound, and that it's managed to persist all these years. That it's pretty much, you can draw a straight line more or less between
Yes.
everything we hear today in music back to those origins. And so partly, kind of knowing where you come from, and having that community just so baked into who I am is one aspect of it. And the other is the commitment to seeing African American and other minority groups represented. I think that's a big thing, especially when you're in medical school and the numbers aren't necessarily where you want them to be. For instance, my class only has 5 Black men, which is one side disheartening, the other side deeply inspiring, and brings us close together. But knowing that we need to change that type of those types of demographics and those statistics. There are less Black medical students than when my dad went, and that was 40 years ago. So having something like physicians working together that can help bridge that gap is something we definitely need it for sure.
So I know this is just one of those questions, but how does your dad feel about the legacy continuing in you with you becoming a physician? And your grandfather was, his dad was, now, so what is that? What does he express to you concerning that?
I know he probably won't show it, but I think he's like super geeked out about it. He always loves to just talk about it, and just whenever I would always just call him throughout the curriculum, I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned about this. Or like if I see a really gnarly disease, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just call him, I'm like, take a look at this. It's been a lot of fun. I think he's just really having a ball.
So is your grandfather still alive?
He is not, unfortunately.
Okay.
He passed long before I was born, 15 years or so. Yeah,
Oh,
I never got to know either of my grandfathers. Both had passed before.
Okay. And your mom's take on it?
Oh, she loves it. Mom is just mom,
It's just mom.
Can't beat mom support, or not.
That's
just
the truth. I know.
Just mom with some gravitas. There we go. Can't be beat.
That is so true.
She was with my dad throughout his medical process, so she was director of human resources, so she's real experienced, especially on the people side of things, and she worked in admissions, so that's where I get a lot of that advice and that side of things, like just how to interact with people generally.
Beautiful.
And ways of communicating and empathy and all that.
Yeah, that's going to give you some great bedside manner. Your patients are going to love you. So when it comes to what this means to you and what Dr. Jackson starting this means to you, what would you like to say to her?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for considering me for this scholarship. I hope you enjoyed my music, which is the most important thing for me. Just being able to share my passion with others. And I hopefully look forward to meeting you and talking more and getting involved somehow for sure. This is awesome. A really good program and something we definitely need.
Well, she's definitely looking forward to working with all the recipients and expanding what PWT can do for the medical community. Is there any suggestion that you would have for those who are veteran physicians on how they mentor or guide upcoming physicians?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm fortunate that every interaction I've had with a veteran physician has been just phenomenal. I'm assuming that would continue going into clerkships. I think the biggest thing that's helped me is just having them available for sure. And just sort of as a sort of cooling down the temperature when we're in med school, we're just so nervous, like we don't know how it's going to play out, but having the faculty or attendings just being able to talk about the field, it kind of makes it feel a little more tangible and less like this mythic thing to try and achieve, becoming a physician. Having them available and ready to talk, especially at Michigan, they're really cool about it. They'll just give their number to you, and there's never any pressure not to reach out to them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I think another thing is they've really taken an interest in getting to know me, not just, especially in undergrad. I know other people have stories. I'm fortunate, again, reaching out to people in undergrad was very much the same, but sometimes, when you're teaching 400 students,
you get lost in the numbers.
You definitely do, but in med school the numbers are smaller, and it makes for an easier time getting a hold of mentors, and just being available helping students sort of at ease, especially Black students who kind of
Yeah.
are going to come in with imposter syndrome and
Right.
not really feel like they belong. I've had bouts of it, and I try and at least present some
Yeah.
confidence throughout my life, but it definitely takes a toll.
It's different. It's different. It's different for Black men, it's different for Black women, it's different for people of color. And I know that others don't necessarily get that. But I am appreciative to those who are at least try to be empathetic towards it or sympathetic towards it. Well, Alain, thank you so much. That's our time for today. You have been a wonderful guest. I've enjoyed speaking with you. I hope that you've enjoyed this interview as well. And so, to everyone who's watching, please check us out. Physicians Working Together, and check us out online. Check out the website. We have an upcoming gala for next year that we definitely would like many of you to be a part of. So, from Dr. Jackson and her team, the marketing specialist Jennifer, and myself, thank you. And as she would say, live life well. Take care.